Hello and welcome to BW TV. We have a very special guest with us, Mr. Rishi Seth, who is the founder of Evoc. Good to have you, Mr. Seth.
Thank you so much, Risha. My pleasure.
Now, with digital first media landscape expansion, you're seeing that there is a rush in how media is looking at content, how PR are now forced to come up with innovative strategies uh, to I mean set their campaigns, to send across their stories, their messages. Now, in this diverse set of media landscape, how are you seeing some of the trends that have shaped PR, what we are seeing right now? Your experience over the years, what are some of the major observations that you have?
I think the most fundamental observation is the complete shift to digital, and this is visible not just through social media. I think this is as much applicable to publishers like yourself, and even the newspapers or TV channels. So if you look at the TV channels, the mainstream or the business news channels, all of them are actively promoting their segments or their shows on YouTube or Facebook Live. And in the case of print or text only media, I think the digital platforms, whether it is through the website or through dedicated apps, so a lot of big publishers have done made their own apps. So I think fundamentally everybody is recognizing the fact that the audiences are entirely shifting to digital mode of consumption of both news and entertainment. And back in, I think, 2014 or 15, we first heard the term called cord cutting. So cord cutting means that you let go of your cable TV connections or your satellite TV connections and move entirely to what we now call OTT. So that has, of course, gathered so much momentum over the last 10 years, especially after the arrival of Geo 4G and 4G from Airtel and cheap data in particular. So we are now seeing that across socioeconomic domains, across age groups, everybody is consuming content on their mobile phones. Everybody is consuming a lot of content on YouTube, on Instagram, and also on WhatsApp. And I think with these major changes, public relations has kind of kept pace with these changes. Like I don't know of a single large agency that doesn't have a dedicated digital team or a digital practice. So this has been, in my opinion, I think this has been the most defining change of our generation, especially people like me who started when internet was still in infancy. So I remember, I think 2001 or 2, when I started as a journalist, we used to have a T1 line, which is a dedicated lease line in our offices. And at home, we used to have dial-up connections. So today's generation probably won't even recognize those facts when they're consuming for example, even video on demand, that what we consume via Netflix or Amazon Prime videos or Hotstar. So all of those things were practically unheard of until 2006 or 7. And I think around 2010 is when fast internet became somewhat of a reality. And of course, it was very expensive back then. It was still largely through fixed line or broadband. But now with 4G and 5G now, you go to any small villages, small towns across India, and you can see the young and the old using those 4G connections, those 1 or 1.5 GB daily data limits to watch those YouTube videos or Instagram reels. And that has been the defining characteristic of how the media has also evolved. And with the media, we in the PR agency have also evolved.
Definitely, these are some of the trends that are very evident now. You very rightly mentioned that there is easy access to data that has given access to content, access to media to a lot of masses, right?
Yeah.
Now, with this, there is a different set of challenge. Now, we can see for a brand image building, there are many stakeholders. There's no not only founder, not only press or let's say PR,
Yeah,
any people all across who have access to social media, who can post, can kind of impact the brand image. It's so accessible right now, and it is posing a great threat. Now in this management, also fake news is rising. So I mean, in the mix of all of these opportunities and challenges, do you think PR is ready to handle these?
I think definitely PR industry is, fairly dynamic in nature and very quick on its feet in terms of responding very quickly to the changing market dynamics. Now, let me answer this question in two separate parts. First is about the case of, crisis emerging on social media. In fact, just today morning, there's a Grammy Award winner, Ricky is his name, I guess, and he has tweeted something about Air India, and that tweet has garnered about, I think, 500 retweets and probably thousands of views and hundreds of comments. And that is a clear risk that most brands, especially public facing brands, consumer brands, are facing each and every day when suddenly a disgruntled customer, and especially if that customer happens to be somebody who has already has a lot of followers or who's an influencer or is well known, now that can blow up into a legitimate crisis literally in the matter of hours. So I think the first and foremost requirement is to always be on the lookout, and this is where technology and tools really are very useful for PR professionals. In a manner of speaking, we need to know within minutes if there is a negative tweet, and if that tweet actually concerns or has probability of blowing up, so that we can very quickly respond to that tweet as well, or a tweet, or it could be a YouTube video or any other social media post. So one is, yes, I think the crisis management scenario has completely changed with social media. Earlier we used to have plenty of time window between a crisis and getting enough time to draft a good statement, vet it through legal departments, and then submit it to the media or to the editors that this is our statement to go with the story. But now that is not the case. We don't have hours to respond. We literally need to respond within minutes. And of course, teams need to be very agile. They need to use the right technology to manage those crisis situations effectively. Then on the second point of fake news, I think that is also uh, emerging as a major threat. There have been some some small cases where small or obscure incidents or news was totally twisted and exaggerated and blown out of proportion. Fortunately, we haven't seen brands become the victim of fake news as much as we have seen the politicians or even celebrities. But having said that, I think brands are definitely at risk, and the principles of being very agile in crisis communications and figuring out immediately where is it spreading from, how to debunk it. Those things are very critical these days, and I think the biggest and the most important takeaway here is you need to have 24/7 kind of eye on social media.
Very critical. What would you say? What has changed over the years when it comes to crisis management? When it comes to reputation management? I mean, you hold immense experience. What what was the strategy traditionally when it comes to crisis handling, crisis management, and what is different in 2024?
So earlier we used to see crisis situations largely emerging on account of operations, and those crisis situations were, I would say, they were not very they did not need immediate reaction. And By that I mean that these news would come to us from journalists who would say that they have such and such story in their mind, and this is the news, and we would like a response from the brand or the company. So that gave us sometimes a window of few hours, sometimes even a window of one full working day, and we had enough time to fine tune and craft the right statement. And then we had the time to also get it vetted by legal department or the team of lawyers, so that we're not inadvertently saying something which is wrong or ethically incorrect or legally incorrect. So but now what is happening is a lot of modern day crisis situations are more instantaneous. So somebody who is deboarded from a flight, or who is basically downgraded from a flight, as was the case with today's incident. So they can live tweet it literally from the airport, and the airline or the brand in question, they need to respond to it as soon as possible because the tweet is blowing up. So one is the time frame of uh, crisis situations has really shrunk. Second, because the everybody is carrying their mobile phones, and everybody is carrying their social media, so everybody is literally a journalist these days, or a publisher, content creator. So the potential avenues of crisis situations emerging, and this could emerge from customer experiences. This could also emerge from marketing missteps. So I think in the last few years we've seen so many marketing campaigns,
True, true.
different
A lot
brands.
of, yeah, a lot of marketing campaigns or ads that kind of erupted
Yeah,
into controversies on Twitter or social media. I mean,
yeah,
it can have a good impact, or even a not so good impact.
yeah.
But how do you look at this phenomena of all publicity is good publicity? What are your thoughts on this?
So yes, I think by and large this principle definitely holds. All publicity is good publicity, with this, with a very big caveat that you have to always gauge the impact of negative publicity on your operations and on your reputation. So if it is uh, something like a boycott or a outrage on social media about a particular campaign, I think I say bring it on. I think this is definitely
Interesting.
yes,
Interesting. That's a bold statement. I'm finding it really interesting. Now,
yeah.
speaking of prices or impact, how, in your view, data analytics or Gen AI will kind of help you to measure the impact of what PR is doing?
Yes, I think both of these tools are going to play increasingly a much larger role. AI is already there. I think a lot of social listening software or platforms, they have integrated AI. And what they are doing is, with AI, they are actually filtering through the conversations and highlighting the most important or the most critical conversations, so that because ultimately at the end of the day there is only always going to be a limited team of resources or people who are going to be watching the social media and deciding whether to respond to a particular uh, tweet or a post. So they are helping these tools, the technology, the AI, and increasingly Gen AI also. But Gen AI has a different function, and I'm going to touch on that just in a short while. But AI is already there. It has been around at least for a few years now, and analytics also. They are helping us make a sense of if they're, for example, we just spoke about outrage campaigns or boycott campaigns against brands. So not all of those tweets need to be responded. So AI can help you figure out who are the original sources, or who are the biggest amplifiers, or who are the biggest most influential people who you need to respond. And because if you respond to them and engage with them, other people who are following them, they will also get a message. So you don't need to really spread your response way too wide and too thin. You need to focus on the right set of people, so that your voices get automatically amplified, and you don't have to spend too much time and energy in responding to literally hundreds of thousands of users. Now, secondly, Gen AI is also, I think, emerging as a very, very powerful tool. And going forward, as I can see, Gen AI is going to be used in personalizing responses, because as of now, the biggest grievance of customers of brands on social media is that they get very templatized replies that, please DM us your concern, we will get back to you, or, please share your problem, or, we are. So it's a very templatized and a very boilerplate kind of a response, which absolutely works well for the legal teams, but it absolutely, doesn't work for the customer. So customers need something more, personalized and more uh, completely in line with what exactly they are, the problem that they are facing. So Gen AI can help with that. So it can basically quickly accumulate the entire customer data and history, including the transactions, and then it can quickly formulate a response so that a person who is going to respond to the customer, they can just either copy paste it, or just review it once, and then respond to the customer in a much more informed and a personalized manner. So that is how Gen AI is actually going to revolutionize uh, customer engagement, and not just customers, but also crisis management on social media.
Now, tell me how, I mean, if the fundamentals have changed or not, tell me that. But if changed, how? I mean, when we look at a PR function nowadays,
Mm.
I'm seeing a trend that there is an integration between a marketing function in some companies that are collaborating with the communication teams. How are you seeing this trend? And your thoughts on this, and also what are some of the fundamentals if they have changed?
So it actually depends on companies to company, company to company. Some large companies, they have very strong communications departments, uh, and in a sense, internally, both functions. Let's say a chief communications officer or a head of Copcom, they need to, have their own control over communications, especially the corporate communications part. Marketing is largely concerned with uh, customers or clients. So it sometimes can have a little bit of a narrow view of the organization's need for stakeholder communications. Uh, PR will always have a slightly broader view, because it also covers, partners, it covers industry peers, even competitors, it covers government relations, it covers policymakers, employees as well. So that is why I don't see, there will be a lot of, integration, or no, not integration, but a lot of merging between the two functions. But having said that, there will be always be opportunities to collaborate, as long as the primary audience in mind is clients or customers. So that is always a welcome development, because the tools that marketing uses and what today's communications officers are using, they are the same. So if it is influencer marketing, it could be very well done by the Copcom team, or even the PR agency, or it could be done by the marketing's a roster of agencies, or digital communications, digital social media, content management, so, ORM, online reputation management. So the tools of the trade have kind of become common between the two functions. Earlier, marketing was very clearly about advertising or below the line activities or events. PR was largely about media relations. But now, because every single audience has moved to digital, uh, the tools have become common, and that opens up opportunities to, collaborate and share some common best practices. And that is something that we are definitely seeing, but again, it depends from company to company. Some companies are actually making sure that their marketing and their communications teams are collaborating on especially on product launches, or doing marketing slash PR for any product related product or services.
Yeah, so
And
understood.
then
So the criticality of the role remains as is, right? And it cannot be swapped so easy. It cannot be replaced so easy, right?
yes.
Now towards my final bit of this, how do you see the future of PR evolving? If you can put this in three pointers, what changes are you foreseeing?
So I would say I think the first and the foremost shift in PR industry is with AI and Gen AI. Uh, right now, we are likely at the very big early stages of the AI explosion or Gen AI explosion. I think we are just scratching the surface so far. Uh, in the near future, there will be a proliferation of content on social media with generated with Gen AI. And this will include videos, this will include images, this will include texts and long form text as well. So I would think that the biggest trend, plus it is also a challenge, is the proliferation of content. Already we have people, getting so much content fatigue. They're spending like 4 to 5 hours on social media every day. That leaves very little window or time for them to read news or to, keep up to date with, formal sources of news. People are getting their news entirely through Instagram or through Twitter these days, or YouTube. So, and that is happening through when the content is being driven by humans. When content gets completely automated and done by Gen AI, I think that is going to be the biggest uh, challenge, plus also a big trend for us to watch out for. How do we ensure that our clients' voices are heard, that they are able to engage with the stakeholders when when the stakeholders are actually being bombarded with literally uh, uh, plane loads or truckloads of content.
What is one thing that hasn't changed over the years?
Human
One
relations.
must have.
Human relations and people relations. I think ultimately public relations is the art of actually putting the people in people relations or public relations. So we still need to talk to people, whether we do it in person or we do it through social media. That human to human contact, although there are risks or threats of that also getting automated. So I don't want to see a future where automated PR bot is talking to an
Yeah.
automated journalist bot, and both of them are deciding on a story, and the story comes
So
out on an.
are we seeing the number of non-robotics PR going up?
Yes, that is another trend. I think the media industry, if we see worldwide, particularly in the West, I think the costs of running a newsroom have become so high that a lot of publishers are actually cutting down on journalists, the human journalists, and when human journalists, they get fired from their jobs, they the most natural progression for them is to move to PR, and hopefully I do hope that PR will stay populated with humans for the foreseeable future.
Good to know. Good to know. Thank you so much, Rishi, for your time and valuable insights. It was a lovely conversation. Thank you so much.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you so much.